Times pass,
No, not yet.
memories still remain. I wish I could go back to being the fair-haired boy again. To the times when I was just a brawny lad. The summers were so good then, the good times that we had. Oh, Roman Island was the place to be. Roman Island, down by Westport. Oh, Roman Island on a summer's day.
Now I'm going to start this again.
I lived on Roman Island here back in the 70s, and we lived over there. Well, there was only Bert McManus lived on the island then, and Charlie King, the Lord be good to him. So oh, times pass and memories remain. I wish I could go back to being the fair-haired boy again. To the times when I was just a brawny lad. Oh, the summers seemed so long then, and the good times that we had. Oh, Roman Island was the place to be. Oh, Roman Island down by Westport Quay. Oh, Roman Island on a summer's day. We went swimming in the water. We went rolling in the hay. Now the Bats Hotel no longer stands, the herring fleets don't call. The dockers, they no longer wait along the idle wall. The old stock have passed away, but I recall them still. As I gaze out on the bay from the top of Goblin Hill. The honeysuckle blossom, the whitethorn too. The cuckoo in the distance, the fresh May morning dew. A bird in the meadow, the lark in the clear air. Or the linnet by the river, we had all the time to spare. Oh, Roman Island was the place to be. A Roman Island down by Westport Quay. Roman Island on a summer's day. We went swimming in the water, we went rolling in the hay. I hear the whistle blowing, and there's black smoke in the sky. She's heading up by Quarry Lane where smoke gets in her eyes. 16 cattle wagons, all bound for Westport Fair. Jimmy, Mike and I, oh, we wish we could be there. Oh, times pass and memories remain. I never can go back to being the fair boy again. You're the times when I was just a brawny lad. Oh, the summers seem so long then. Ah, the good times that we had. Oh, Roman Island was the place to be. Oh, Roman Island down by Westport. Oh, Roman Island on a summer's day. We went swimming in the water. Ah, we went rolling in May. Thank you.
Something like that. I haven't done that song for a long time, but anyway.
All the characters we knew. I remember the Bats Hotel very well because my dad, to treat us on a Sunday, well, he worked on the railway, he worked at the depot at the Quay when he was transferred from Galway. He came up here and he was transferred to the Quay. That was a terminus, and it was a goods terminus, and they used to take the stuff from the boats by train inland here on both straits and to the mill down there, Poplar's Mill. But over there was the Bats Hotel, or the Bat Hotel it was called, but we always called it the Bats Hotel. And beside it was the Bat. But I remember going in there for a treat on a Sunday. We'd go in there with Dad. Well, maybe after, well, he'd work on usually Sundays, but he'd have a Sunday off maybe once a month. And they'd bring us out for a treat, either to the Anglers, which is now the She-Bean, or Peggy Braun's, which is now, I don't know what it is, the Keys.
The Keys,
Or usually the Bath Hotel was open at the time. And Paddy Burns, the Lord be good to him, Paddy was the barman. I can remember Paddy. And Teresa Stanton, the Lord be good to her, was playing the grand piano in the corner. And that was the entertainment. But I can still see the curtains were velvet curtains, and the timber was mahogany. It was like going into a sort of a Wild West pub. And Josie, the Lord be good to him, used to be around. But that was our treat for a Sunday. We'd get it was a Carab Orange, I think, at the time. I think it was Carab Orange.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
And but we remember, but I was on one of the last, I remember the last, the Sessipus was it? It was the last dredger in the bay. I remember getting a spin on that, and I lost my head on it. I remember my father brought me onto the boat, and it started going out, and of course I got excited. I wanted off. But I remember the Sessipus, it used to take up, clear the channel for the bigger boats to come in. And I remember the big boats, they brought in usually grain for the mill. That was one of the boats. Timber for Kelly's and Malloy's, coal for Malloy's. The tar boats for the council, they were, and slag boats for the co-op. They used to go down to McDonough's store. But they were mostly the boats that came in the late 50s, 60s, and early part of the 70s, and then they vanished. I mentioned in the song about the herring fleets. The herring fleets used to come in here in the autumn time, and they'd possibly be maybe up to anything from 30 to 50 trawlers. And they'd all, mostly from Killybegs, Donegal, and from Carna, and from Spidle, out into Galway, and a couple from Achill. And they'd spend possibly around a month to 6 weeks around Westport, coming in with herring, and they'd offload them every evening. So some of the people from the town then, and anyone who people loved herring, and they'd be there waiting for the falls. They used to swing it over on these crans. There were containers that dropped them from the boat onto the lorry. But some of the falls from the people were like herring goals really, because it'd fall off and everyone would make, waiting around, they'd make a dart for the herrings, and they'd go off maybe a few, God, maybe sometimes maybe a few dozen herring. And sometimes I remember that years ago going up by where the statue was, the coal lorries would be loaded and they'd swing over and they'd drop the coal at the corner. And Mikey Hester, the Lord, would go to him and as you go from the quay, it'd head across, pack it into bags and we'd get back across. But they were all memories. I remember the travellers as well coming, especially this time of the year. They used to come with their barrel caravans. And there'd be, at that time, there'd be possibly a wagon trail. We used to say there were wagon trail. There'd be possibly maybe 30 barrel caravans coming out here on a rig during the rig Sunday or during that time. It was amazing to see them travelling. And they'd have their horses in a line tied by the tails. You never seen it. It was like real wild West.
Where did the name come from, Charlie? Roman Island?
Roman Island,
I always took it from Romany, as in like that now visitors.
Roman Island, that's all I ever knew. I never asked about.
Owned by the Pope. It's owned by the Pope. Probably he owns everything else.
But I can't, like I say, I don't know. That's one thing, Roman Island.
I always got the impression it was from Romanies, from travellers.
Yeah, that's
coming out.
No, there wouldn't, because there wasn't.
Yeah.
It was an
island.
island.
Yeah, that's
There
true.
wasn't
Yeah.
to say. You know, Paddy Guthrie was talking about old Westport and the way they live away. This was a nice. This part of it would have been filled in a lot, where we played football. I remember playing football. The Christian Brothers had a sports religiously every year in summertime, just before the summer holidays. And I remember I won with Patsy Kelly, Porty Kelly's son. I won my first hurling medal here. Now I don't know was I much of a hurler then. I remember in the sack race, and I fell in the sack race. And then I remember the egg and spoon race. I was a disaster at that too. My egg broke. Well boiled. But I remember. But I remember. And sure, like we Crusaders started up here when at the youth club. You remember Crusaders? We set up here and the pitch had been ruined really. The big trucks were turning in the middle and all that. So we could not get in place to allow us to play in Westport as Crusaders. You know, we were in opposition to United, and so we had to come out here. And they've too, the Lord be good to him, and Matt Rustin and John Foy were on the harbour board. Well, John Foy was on the harbour board, and Josie Neal, and they got us permission to redevelop this pitch. So we came out with our picks and shovels, and we tried to dress it up as good as we could. But as much as we did, there was an element within Westport that didn't want to see us playing back on this key parts pitch. And every time they came to inspect it, it failed. It failed twice. And on the third time, we got it. So that's the history of the pitch.
What year was that about?
That was 69, 70, 71. And we played there forever. And you know, and looking at it now, I was walking through. It's a brilliant pitch, you know. But I had some. I remember. I said, "What's his name?" Colin O'Neill playing against him. He was playing for. Oh, he was playing for what's that team in Castlebar? That Travanor. He was a good player too, Colin O'Neill. But I remember there was a big pond puddle down there, and I remember I ran to him and I nailed him. I did. He was a good footballer. And I always used to joke about it after, you know. But he came back to Westport. He was a good soccer player. There was a lot of good soccer players there. Well, we came out here.
Go into the sea and get blown away.
The ball.
Yeah, the ball. Some teams were. You see, our type of footballers, we were more of a football team. We kept playing soccer, but there was teams that played us here that decided, these guys they know this pitch and they played. We played it well, but they drive the ball out into the sea. But we had a punt. And the Lord be good to Jack Geraghty. Oh, John Coffey. I remember John Coffey jumping in. They'd all be good for swimming across the channel there, to get the ball.
Yeah.
But we'd find the balls, eventually we'd go into the domain.
And of course, Charlie, back then you only had a handful of balls. If you
Oh,
had
jeez,
or you might have only had one.
all we had was one, but we were lucky to get the 2 balls.
Yeah.
Well, that's the story of Roman Ireland. But the name that's all I ever knew of it.
Did you ever hear about the Formadors? Formadors.
The Formadors were the people that came here to, they were the people who came here to go to the baths. I think they were the Fermors, the farmers, who had finished their harvest, and they came here at harvest time. Just when we were living on Roman Island, we used to meet people that had come here as kids with their family.
Another explanation might be that Formadors or Formidorium or something like that is a form of heat treatment way back in time.
That's another.
That might be it. Yeah.
That's another way of looking at it. But I didn't even know. I always, it was John Stanton that mentioned that to me. As you said there, I said, you know, it would be the Ferramore, because I said, but they used to stay. They'd come here if there wasn't a place in the Bath Hotel. They'd stay up on Boffin Street. There was a lot of houses there that kept lodgers.
They stay for a week, getting ready for the winter.
They won't stay for a week. Stay for a week. Anyway, that's the story.
Well done, lovely, great.
Well done, Charlie.
Come on, Charlie.
Thanks.